Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Baseball Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith has ordered 24 race cars to life as the ultra-competitive Indy Racing League season is down to its last 3 events. Today in St. Louis, Al Unser Jr. looks to repeat his win of a year ago and become the 10th different winner this season. ESPN is live at Gateway International Raceway in Madison, Illinois for the Indy Racing League's Gateway Indy 250. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins and we are located right across the mighty Mississippi River from St. Louis in the Gateway to the west as we have now reached the 13th of 15 races in the Indy Racing League season. And 4 drivers are still very much in contention for the championship. Take a look at the points here. And with 156 points available regardless of what happens today and in Chicagoland, the title decision will be made at the season finale in Texas. We have had a major development here at St. Louis just in the last 48 hours. The leader in rookie points and the driver who won the pole position at Michigan, Thomas Scheckter, has notified his Red Bull team Cheever he would not be here this weekend. Now, Scott Goodyear, our driver analyst, has been talking with Thomas on the phone. Scott, what did you learn?
And Bob, what was a shock to everybody, the Michigan race winner Thomas Scheckter elected not to compete here this weekend. He was in town Wednesday and Thursday morning doing promotional work for Red Bull. But unfortunately, he didn't show up for a meeting in the afternoon on Thursday. When contacted Indianapolis, he said, I cannot race this weekend. I spoke to Thomas on the phone and he said, you know, due to circumstances beyond my control, I cannot compete this weekend. I'm in favor of the IRL. I hope to get back soon. And off to Jack so he can give us an update with Eddie Cheevers.
Well, Scott, I indeed talked to Eddie Cheever before he started the engine on his Red Bull car. He's the owner of Thomas Schecter's car. He said there's nothing new to report, but he did point to a couple of facts. A, he said Red Bull Infiniti Cheever Racing has invested a tremendous amount of money bringing the young rookie and making him a winner. But he also said, Paul Page, I've learned with Thomas Scheckter to come to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, I've never heard of that happening with a driver before. Now this track here, Gateway, well, they call it a paperclip.
And Paul, the reason for that, very long straightaways and tight turns. 180 miles an hour going into the turns, down to about 155 turns 1 and 2, 175 in turns 3 and 4. You have to accelerate hard out of the turns here. It's very difficult for drivers to put a power down. The other issue here also will be traffic. Very tough racetrack to drive on.
And that battle for the championship. There are 4 guys here right now who could take the lead in the championship by the end of the day, but they differ on how to win the championship.
One who's calm and patient and waits the right time to make the right move and doesn't get caught up in any accidents and probably be the guy that wins.
The same way that I attacked the first 13, really. I mean, just trying to do the best you can.
If I have the car to win, which looks like, I'll go for it. I won't stand back, I won't lift off.
It's to be there in the end of the race and try to attack, in the last like 40 or 30 laps.
So here is the starting grid with Gil DeFerrin on the pole and Sam Hornish Jr. alongside Helio Castroneves and Vitro Vera, row 2. Row 3 is Jeff Ward and Laurent Raidon. In row 4, Felipe Giafoni and Robbie Buell, Sarah Fisher, Scott Sharp in the 5th row. 6th row, Tony Rennan, Billy Boat, Raul Boycell and Alex Barron in 7. 8th row, Buddy Rice and Al Unser Jr. Row 9, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Buddy Lazier. Ayrton Dare and Eliseo Salazar are in 10. 11th row, Robbie McGee and Greg Ray. And in the 12th row, George Mack and Hideki Noda. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
Well, there was one very significant incident in a half-hour warm-up session this morning impacting Al Unser Jr., the defending race champion. It occurred when Anthony Lazzaro, filling in for the injured Richie Hearn and Sam Schmidt's team, went into a spin, went up, smacked the outside wall, tore off the rear gearbox. As he sat on the track, drivers zigzagging their way by, but Unser clipped the front of him. Damage to the left front suspension. They've repaired it. Al is back on the course, but no Anthony Lazzaro in this one today, Paul.
So the field is ready to go as they come off of turn 4 at Gateway. Gil de Ferran on the pole. Green flag is out. Elio Castroneves immediately comes out to crowd Sam Hornish Jr. Hornish goes for the high line. Field through the tight first 2 turns. Down the long backstretch. And Castroneves makes his move. And that's Vitor Meira in the Menards car moving on Hornish Jr. You're on board with him now.
Paul, we talked about downshifting. You saw him going down on the lever on the right hand. And as you saw Hornish get loose coming out of turn 2, we talked about turn 2, putting the power down. Hornish got a little bit loose. Meira might take advantage of that.
Meira is going to go on the inside, see if he can get Hornish. And Hornish, I think, very wisely decides not to battle with him.
Oh, championship contender, Paul, very early in the race. Let the tire pressures come up, let the tire temperatures come up, and just settle into a pace.
One of the things about this track, you count all open wheel activity here, both cars and the IRL. They average 8 cars out of the race through attrition. And that's what those contenders have to think about.
These guys are experienced. That's why they're here in the championship hunt right now, Paul. And for sure, guys like Gil de Ferran, he's a tactician. He plans his race out. He knows what's going on right now. Everybody, the top 4 or 5 right now, has a plan. And they have to make sure they stick to it.
Penske cars 1 and 2, and then John Menard's car with Vitor Meira at the wheel in his second race. Got a good start and made a nice pass when Hornish got a little crossway. Hornish sits back and forth. That's Laurent Randon, one of the contenders for the rookie championship that may have picked up an amazing advantage with Thomas Scheckter not being here today.
We talked about Thomas earlier on the show. Obviously had reasons to believe that he should not come here and run this weekend. I'm sure if he's at home watching right now, difficult to watch race cars going around, whether you're a driver out of employment or if you're injured or anything of that nature. Always difficult to watch a race on TV.
In 6th place, back behind Randon as Hornish Jr. comes inside, takes the slot back from Meira. He wants to get in pursuit of those leaders. Now that flat car, that's Jeff Ward. Special sponsor, Energizer, for this race, so they changed the colors on the car.
Great looking car, Energizer, a local company here. Jeff Ward's done a lot of publicity work here throughout the week here in the St. Louis area, and that must be something with the colors, Paul, because they changed the colors of that car. He's been right up there all weekend qualifying in the race.
I don't know, the red and white worked pretty good in Texas, where he won in that thriller, that very close race. There's your top 4. Wardy, of course, makes the move around Randon. And the Penske cars at the front. De Ferran, Castroneves. Castroneves has a little bit of a problem. He was in a Pro-Am celebrity golf tournament at the RCA event over in Indianapolis this last week and pulled his shoulder and was icing it down, his right shoulder, most of the morning. Right shoulder, that's the one that's pressing against the car in the corner.
That's your outside shoulder, Paul. You're right, going around this track as we look at Hornish now, looking at Castroneves. But Castroneves said, hey, it doesn't bother me. But, you know, you're seeing 4.2, 4.3 Gs in these turns at both ends, and they're coming up about every 25 seconds. So a lot of punishment on the driver here today.
Castroneves now falls back into the clutches of Sam Hornish Jr. And we look at the Firestone telemetry. This will show you those G-forces.
You saw the slow speed exiting turns 1 and 2 when you call slow 155, 60 miles an hour, getting up to 180. Watch the G's just over 4 for a moment there. Turns 3 and 4 as we're riding along is a much faster turn, more of an open turn. Drivers really aren't lifting off the throttle, and you see he's upshifting on the rev limiter there, just a small amount, right hand going down towards the shifter. Just watch his hand over here, shifting as we go along. This track is very difficult on the brakes a little bit in turns 1 and 2 and using the shifter.
Interesting, he only really hits 5th gear for a short period of time on the front stretch.
Well, the wind has changed here, Paul, over the last couple of days. And right now, the wind is behind his back right now, pushing the car faster going into turns 1 and 2.
Oh, that's Tony Renna. Slows down on the race course, but stays high. Oh, he sees the field coming, that's why.
Come down now, come down now.
Great information by the spotter. telling me he can come down now. But the one thing I will say on that, he's now down in the racing line.
Pull down, pull down.
This doesn't have enough speed to roll onto that extra piece of tarmac to get in the area of safety.
You know, that created a great example of how fast it is here, how quickly you get around. When we first saw him, the tail end of the field was just finished and coming by, and then it was only a few seconds, and there was the front of the field. Caution comes on.
We got yellow, we got a yellow.
And I'm assuming that Renna just, they couldn't get him into a position that they felt comfortable with. And so the caution comes on, though now he's down on the pit road. And they're also going to check the course for some debris. So dual reason for this caution. It's DeFerrin, Castroneves, Hornish. 3 of the contenders in the points fight at the front.
14 laps completed here at Gateway International Raceway, just across the river from St. Louis, as Gilles DeFerrin currently has the lead and in fact has led since the drop of the green flag from his 4th pole position of the year. His teammate Helio Castroneves is right behind him, along with Hornish, Mira, and Ward completing the top 5. Now this caution period is a debris caution, but just before it came out, Tony Renna, who has had a great run in his few races for the Indy Racing League this year, pulled off of the racetrack and is currently on pit road. Renna is in his 4th race this year, and his best finish came at Michigan, where he came home in the 4th position, and he has led 2 of the 4 races in which he has participated. But the driver of the Crew Special will apparently be an early out here this afternoon. Jackaroo.
Well, Tony Renna, you radioed into your crew's crew that you thought it was something in the drivetrain. Any update?
We looked at it just a second ago, Jack, and it looks like there may be an alternator caught on fire, maybe a short of some kind, which is going to unfortunately put our end of the day. We're sad we had a really good race going there, or even early on the car was really made some big gains from morning one, so we're hoping for good things for the Cruise and Homemade car, but unfortunately today's not the day.
Bob, they'll have to wait till Chicagoland.
There are only 2 more races to go after this race in the 2002 IRL season. Well, we're just about to go back to competition. When they come down this time, they will get the signal 1 more lap to go. Gilles DeFerrin is adding to his most laps led statistics this year. He is well ahead of everybody else. So less than a lap to go, and we go back to Paul Page.
Yeah, it's interesting too, though, Bob, as we watch the Chevrolet Corvette pace car pull off. There's points awarded, 2 of them for leading the most laps in a given race. And right now, Sam Hornish Jr. has the lead in the points fight as a result of laps led in individual events. So that too has become critical here in these final races of the season. DeFerrin controls the field. Green flag comes out. Down the front stretch, Hornish Jr. looks inside of Helio Castroneves.
Clear.
Goes to second. At the same time, Jeff Ward back behind Mira. Still making his moves up through the field. And there goes Felipe Giafoni as he comes around Raydon. And Alex Barron. Alex Barron makes a move. He started 14th. And now Barron is up to 6th. On board with our Firestone winners cam, Felipe Giafoni. Well, this guy celebrated serious after his first win 2 weeks ago at Kentucky.
And as we ride along, Paul, you heard some vibration coming out of the engine. That's the rev limiter that he's driving on. As we ride along here, watch to see his hand right there.
Nice job out there. Nice job. Nice and smooth.
Getting some information from his team saying, nice job, nice and smooth. Watch his right hand going down to the shifter. It's a sequential shifter. Only takes about a 1/4 inch of movement for him to change gears. So close to the wall in the exit turn 2, up to 5th gear right now.
Try and hang with these guys if you can.
Jack Arute, what's Buddy Lazier's story?
Well, Buddy Lazier had to pit during that last caution period very, very late because of engine problems. as your leader puts a lap down, Lazier's engine continues to falter. They tried to reload some of the computer information back into the black box on board, but it certainly hasn't helped, Scott.
Well, Jack, if you recall last year, this is where it started to unravel for Buddy Lazier. Sam Hornish and him were in a battle for the points championship. Buddy Lazier took off from the start on the outside pole, ended up having a clogged injector in the engine, lost a lot of points ground to Sam Hornish Jr., and Sam Hornish Jr. went on to win the championship, but really took the points lead here and then won it at Chicago, which was the very next race.
Jeff Ward in 6th, the black car, left side of your screen. Alex Barron in pursuit. Gary Terrell.
Bob, we had an opportunity to talk briefly with Tom Gloy, who wandered to the head of the grid just before the command to start engines. He was checking out the downforce arrangements on all the other cars up front. He said, we messed up in qualifying with Alex Barron starting 14th, but we think we've got a really good car. We found something this morning, and he is definitely on the move. Number 44 has come from 14th, and he's up there knocking on the door.
Well, no question, they found something, and it was good. I'm surprised, too, even with a little problem, it seems like Lazier, though down a lap behind the lead of the race, is able to keep up with that 4th, 5th, 6th area there. So maybe whatever it is cleaned up.
Well, this is not a horsepower track, Paul. Yes, horsepower certainly helps you on these long straightaways, but your car has to handle. You have to carry speed through the turns and have good exit speed. Now, horsepower is going to certainly hurt you right in the very middle, but without a doubt, what he's going to be trying to do right now is just keep his momentum up.
Well, now Jeff Ward is moving on Felipe Giafone up to the front of the field. Now Sam Hornish is right on the back of Gil de Ferran.
Watch for some different lines here between these two drivers. Where they enter the turn, where they are in the middle of the turn, and how they come off the turn. Sam a little closer down to the white line on the center of the turn. We call that the apex. Running a little tighter line on the exit. Now he's working, trying to get a draft. Also tells you Sam's not using up as much road on the exit of the turn, so maybe his car is handling just a little bit better than Gil de Ferran's.
Last laps. Time behind the leader. Gil de Ferran for Sam Hornish Jr. And you know, from time to time, if you look carefully, you will see a little wisp of vapor off the corners of the rear wing. Little wing vortice. It's humid here, but it also gives you an idea of how much downforce is being created by those rear wings. What's Hornish Jr.'s story, Jack?
Well, Paul, at the start, as we saw, Sam Hornish had a little bit of a bobble, did not like the way his car was handling. They worked with Sam, and during the ensuing laps, he made adjustments, Scott Goodyear, with the bars on board. Right now, he likes the combination, but with 35 gallons of fuel burning down, it will be a constant battle to keep it in balance.
And Jack, you talk about making a driver adjustments inside the car. We keep seeing Sam Hornish's hand over here go towards a shifter. In this area right here below his left hand, he's got adjustments for the front and rear suspension and a weight jacker. He can change the handling of his car as he's going throughout the circuit, and the information he gets from his team also will let him know what to do to try to improve the handling of his car.
So Gil de Ferran has led from the pole for the first 28 laps. De Ferran looking for a championship. He's going to cook a major victory feast if he gets it. You're watching the IRL, not just a battle for a race, but a scramble for points in the championship. Gil de Ferran now running in traffic for the first time. Leads the current points leader, Sam Hornish Jr. But at the end of this race, Castroneves, Hornish Jr., De Ferran, Felipe Giafone, any of those guys could go to the top of the point standing. And there are still 7 guys who are mathematically in the fight. There's no question the battle's going to go to the final race of the season at Texas Motor Speedway. There's the way the points are awarded.
And Paul, all these drivers know exactly in their mind how many points they get for each position. I can tell you from previously driving that you are calculating where the other driver is that you're chasing in the championship and where your position is. Especially when it comes down to the last couple of races in the championship season, these drivers need every point they can get.
And the amazing story here today continues to be that Thomas Scheckter is not here today. He notified his team about 48 hours ago that he was not going to run in this race. And really beyond that, we know very little more. Eddie Cheever is more than amazed. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out.
We'll see if he returns for either one of the next 2 events, Paul, being either Chicago or Texas. As you know, he won the track very similar to those, being the Michigan Speedway, and had his first win, but has led so many laps this year and so many races, and probably could have won maybe 3 or 4. Certainly a talented young rookie who has a great future ahead of him.
DeFerrin out in front. There's Eddie Cheever. By the way, you will notice a different helmet color on Eddie Cheever. It is because his father passed away just a few days ago. He and his father designed their helmet that Eddie has worn for all these years, and he has retired it now. But Eddie, with a tremendous load of issues this week, only added to by Thomas Scheckter. And that's just weird. I mean, I don't understand that.
Well, we're all hoping to find some more information out from it next week. It's very strange that we talked about in the opening of the show, Paul, that he was here Wednesday and Thursday doing some promotional work. So obviously something was developing and changed his mind. And maybe it's best that he's back at home right now and has a clear mind.
Eddie Cheever is the one who is currently on the move up those 3 positions since the restart. And here is the defending race champion, Al Unser Jr. Remember Gary told you about his accident this morning, left front damage. They replaced suspension parts, got him back in the run. Unser Jr. currently running 14th.
And Paul, as we ride along with here, look on both sides of the side pods. Get well Jason over here on the left, and get well Bernie. Both those crew member and Jason Priestley that were injured over in Kentucky. And we saw some well wishes coming from everybody in the Kelly team to both of those guys, and both of them are now doing much better.
And Priestley has been released from the hospital into physical therapy. He'll be there another couple of weeks minimum, but he is recovering very well. Jeff Ward, 6th place. Alex Barron right behind him.
Barron's got to run, looking inside. He's inside. He's there. You're clear behind. Clear behind. Hang on, buddy.
Now, if you're telling a guy to hang on,
34 car inside.
makes you wonder if it hasn't gone off a bit. Ray Don moves to the inside. I'd say that means exactly that.
Yeah, Paul, I think you're exactly right. The car's probably gone off. He's telling him to hang on, hang on. As you mentioned, that means hang on so we can get you into your first pit stop and make some adjustments, either tire pressures or some wing adjustments, and make the car more comfortable for the driver. Right now, the car is not working the way that Jeff Ward wants it to.
That's George Mack, but they were all moving around. Mira now closing on Castroneves. Whoa, as they both come down alongside one of AJ's cars and finally come clear. All 3 of the Foyt cars have dropped a lap off the pace.
That tells you that whatever they've got, it's actually infectious, Paul. It's not working on either one of the cars. And I caught up with Greg Ray just yesterday and asked him how things were going. He said, I think we pinpointed our problems. Was not a whole lot we can do about it this weekend, but we'll keep striving to improve.
And as you watch here with Mira in 4th place, running in the top 5, Team Menard has not had a top 5 finish since March at California when Lazier finished in 2nd place.
And Paul, speaking of Lazier, Jacques Lazier, Buddy Lazier's brother, is actually now out of his back brace from his injury at Nazareth earlier this year with his broken back. And he will actually be back testing probably later, as soon as the season is over, getting ready for next year. So they'll be welcoming back to Team Menard.
Over on the pit road, Jeff Ward, in and out. So whatever his issue was, they decided not to wait. They really probably should have gone another 6 or 7 laps if need be to go ahead and empty the tank, but they brought that car in early.
Well, obviously he may have thought...
Hey, clear outside, clear outside.
May have thought a tire was going down or something was going off with the car, and it's really the driver screaming on the radio usually at that point, I gotta come in, because when you pit underneath green, you obviously might be able to lose a lap.
Well, Ward did lose 1 lap, dropped down to 21st position. Here's the front of the field. DeFerrin still maintaining position on point from the pole. Aki Noda, they're going around.
And watch Jill, he's playing protection right there. He knows that. He knows Sam had a run on him because Jill got caught in traffic, so the best thing to do is to play it safe, get right down on the inside, and take that inside lane away from him. A lot of experience going to work there.
Well, Catherine Evans will call DeFerrin the professor. Says that he has helped him tremendously. It's interesting to watch the two of them privately, too. They're great fans of one another. Catherine Evans and DeFerrin. DeFerrin in front, followed by Hornish, Catherine Evans, and the rookie, Vitor Meira. We'll be back. Well, at Gateway, the Indy Racing League, Jill DeFerrin still in front. We're probably within 5 or 6 laps at most of pit stops for all of the leaders. Nothing changed up front 3, but Barron continues his battle with Felipe Giafoni and was able to get around Giafoni for 5th.
Pit lane, first car.
And DeFerrin has had the opportunity to put a number of slower cars between him and Sam Hornish Jr. This is our first contender visiting the pit road, Vitor Meira. Very careful on his approach to the pits, as he should be, being new to the series.
Stay here. Go, go, go!
12.1 seconds in the pits, now up to speed. Firestone telemetry as he comes up to speed.
Vitor, reset your fuel. Reset your fuel. Coming outside.
You heard that message, reset your fuel. That's something a driver does during a pit stop.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't?
What if he doesn't? Well, then they go back to the old system, Paul, where they actually get a pen and pad out and start to figure out what's going on. If he resets the fuel and you saw him push that button right down here on the steering wheel, then they actually start to count the fuel that he uses from the 35 gallons they added into the tank.
At the front of the field, Elio Catherine Evans just took a blast on Hornish Jr. and moved back around him and into second place.
And Paul, Sam Hornish, his car has gone very, very, very loose. He's been battling a loose condition throughout the course of the run, but right now he says, if we didn't have to pit in 2 laps, I'm coming in anyways.
And when Jack talks about a loose car that Sam Hornish has,
One more time by.
that means the back end of the car wants to come around the front. It almost wants to swap ends, and a driver hates that, especially on oval track. If there's anybody that can handle a loose car out there, though, it's probably Sam Hornish with his lightning-fast reflexes. Watch, you can hear him just squeeze on the throttle. If the car was working a little bit better, he'd probably pound on the throttle a lot more. He's coming into the pits right now. He'd be warming up his brakes with his left foot, still trying to accelerate down the back straightaway. Very bumpy on the entrance here to pit lane. Gonna run into a bit of traffic up here. He's already pushed his pit speed limiter. And
There's Jill DeFerrin, who came in just ahead of him. Laurent Raydon makes his stop. Sarah Fisher makes hers.
Here we are. Come on. One past
Gary.
Jill DeFerrin is in. They're going to go down a half pound on tire pressures. Initially, they were going to make a wing change up front, but we believe that that's not the case. A delay toward the back, fueling complete. He's rolling. Hornish still parked, Jack.
And they just dropped the jack on Sam Hornish. It was a long stop. It looked as if they had a problem on the rear tire exchange, but he is off and away as well.
Most of the front of the field on their first stop were on the 59th lap. As DeFerrin comes up to speed and
Decel red lane, decel lane.
Sharp.
But it's just rolling. It's just all of a sudden it went rrr. It was came out of gear.
Now you can hear the engine is still running. Scott mentioned it came out of gear. Sounds like a transmission problem. The car was probably running along in gear and something happened to the drive on the transmission, and right now you can hear the engine idling, but he has no transmission to make the car move forward.
Yeah, I don't think you want to see the Firestone data giving you 37 miles an hour.
Well, he's in jeopardy right now, rolling along the back stretch to not make it around through turns 3 and 4 and get into the pits.
Elio Catherine Evans, who picked up the lead, comes in 2 laps later than his teammate Jill DeFerrin. Giafoni still has not stopped.
Absolutely, we're after these guys. Here we are.
Tim Cindric directing him in.
Hey, limiter off. Watch bridge here. Reset your fuel. Reset your fuel. Watch bridge.
Everything appears to be routine for Elio. He's ready to roll.
And Alex Barrett has completed his pit stop. A very close call, guys, when they disconnected the fuel hose. The car started to pull away. The disconnect had not been completed. There was a short flash fire, but the water that was carried by the vent man put it out.
Well, the crew is still waiting for the arrival of Scott Sharp, who is very slow between 3 and 4 on the pit road. And finally, Felipe Giafone makes his stop.
Nominal stop for Felipe Giafone. No major adjustments, and the yellow has come out.
Caution comes on as Felipe Giafone heads back into the fight. And as the field slows, that'll help him a bit. And the safety team heads out for Scott Sharp. That's not for us. He's telling the safety team, hook me up and get me back to the pits.
See the tube that they're putting in right here, right behind Scott's head. That's a tow bar. He's hooking up the rope right now. It's the driver's job to hold onto that rope all the way down pit lane. And once he gets in the pit lane, he will release that rope. That rope will come out.
Will not rip your mirror off. There you go.
Good call, Paul. That would be about $300 worth of a mirror.
Lots more than that, isn't it now?
Well,
those things are expensive.
All made out of carbon fiber.
Well, the glass itself is all kinds of fancy stuff that...
No, it's convex. It actually gives you a very large footprint of seeing what's going on behind you.
So, Raul Boesel and Al Unser Jr. have not yet pitted, and so they're running 1-2 at Gateway.
Well, the tremendous points battle in the IRL will continue September 8th at the Delphi Indy 300, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on ABC. Join us earlier that day on ESPN2 for Indy Racing Today at noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific as the Indy Racing season rolls along with, including this race, just 3 to go before the end of the season. Jack?
Bob, Scott Sharp's Delphi Automotive car is going to work. The crew is going to work to remove the gears from the rear gearbox. They're going to make a complete exchange. They should be able to do it in probably under 5 minutes. The replacement gears are on pit road. You're taking a look at them right now. They'll slide in as soon as they remove the faulty gears. This is very hot work, Gary, but they do it quickly on pit road.
Jack, we ducked into the media center. We heard him give the command to start the engines. Ozzie Smith, the newly inaugurated Hall of Famer, a fixture, a legend in this part of the country around St. Louis. What's your IRL experience been like thus far, very early in this event?
It's been very exciting, to say the least. You know, they have the opportunity to start the race and just say those words, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. It gives you a rush.
Yes, indeed. How about the speed? You watch these drivers out here inches apart at this speed. You're a professional athlete. You must have tremendous respect for what these people do.
Certainly. You know, when you have a chance to look at it, and I tell people that sitting in here, watching it on television, you have no real appreciation for being right there on the track and feeling the excitement of the engine, feeling the roar of the engine down deep in your gut. I had the opportunity about 4 or 5 years to go to Daytona, and that was really my first experience at a race that close up. And I tell you, it's been one of the experiences of my lifetime. I had a chance to fly with the Blue Angels, but one of these days, hopefully, I'll have a chance to jump into one of these cars and experience that too.
Well, you were a master of speed on the base paths, on the baseball diamond. I want to know, can you still do the backflips?
For the right price.
Little cramped quarters in here in the media center, guys. Ozzie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ozzie Smith, who is the chief marshal for today's race. There is Sarah Fisher, who's been on pit road now for quite a while. They have the engine cover off, and obviously she is having some problems that are affecting that car in a major way. Still on pit road as they try to put the engine cover back on. Jack?
And Bob, the problem was a battery, and without the battery you don't get the spark. So they've replaced the battery, they've refired the engine. Mark Watt has just tried to move Sarah out, and she stalled it.
There are 11 cars on the lead lap. Now, Alonso Jr. and Raul Boesel had not pitted when the caution came out. They have pitted, and so Paul Page, Gil de Ferran, Elio Castroneves, and Sam Hornish and Felipe Giafoni, the top 4 in the point standings, not necessarily in that order, are at the front of the field as we get set to go back to racing.
Yeah, top 4 contenders, 1st through 4th, de Ferran, Castroneves, Hornish, Giafoni. Getting ready to go back to the green flag.
Leaders at the cone. Leaders at the cone. Leaders leaving. Leaders leaving. Green's out. Green's out.
Giafoni took a hard look down the inside and then slowed. Now he comes back up to speed. It's like he was fishing for that gear.
That's one of the jobs for the guys in the start, Paul. Make sure you get the gearbox all the way through.
Penske battles as Castroneves goes past his teammate.
And he looked on the restart in turn 1, couldn't get it done. Made a nice clean move going through 3 and 4. We talk about the top 4 in the championship, Paul, but also in 5th place right now is Barron on that restart. He's also 5th in the points championship. Sam Hornish was not that strong. As the race wore on, his car came back to him. Now he's being very patient for a young driver, knows to wait until his car gets right for him before he can actually move forward, just like he did last segment.
Sam's working a lot down on the left side there.
He is. If his hand goes back over here, you see his right hand, which is right here, reach underneath his left, and he's actually probably just working the bars, which changes suspension settings on the front or the rear, or maybe possibly the weight jacker. There he goes again. He's not happy with the car right now. He's going to make some adjustments inside to see if he can actually get the car better to his liking.
And when we got his radio up, you don't see the thumb going for the transmit button. He's not telling them anything yet.
Well, right now what needs to happen is fresh tires. They need to come up to temperature and pressure. He wants those Firestone tires come up to both the temperature and the pressure, then the handling is stabilized, and then he can actually make a report back to the pit.
So, at least for the moment, not the best of situations for Sam Hornish Jr., the points leader coming into this battle.
Interesting to note, Paul, the first 2 cars with Penske are a Dallara chassis.
Clear by 3, clear by 4.
Driven by Felipe Giafoni is a G-Force chassis made in England, and Sam Hornish on the yellow Pennzoil car, another Dallara chassis made in Italy. So both chassis represented here very well, and not really one of them actually has an advantage over the other.
So Felipe Giafoni, good pass on Sam Hornish, now sits 3rd, Jackaroo.
And Paul, Peter Parrott calls all the shots for Felipe Giafoni and the Hollywood team, and all he has been telling Felipe, not only during this race, but for the last 3 or 4 races, is Felipe, nice and smooth, nice and smooth. I asked Felipe about how important that was, and he said, it's a calming influence for me. It almost becomes like a code word so that I can get into a zone.
Well, and kudos, too, because he is smart enough to listen and take advantage of that tremendous experience that's being passed on to him. So the first round of stops are now complete. Marlboro Team Penske, the front of the field with Castroneves and de Ferran running 1-2. De Ferran started on the pole. Giafoni with his pass of Sam Hornish Jr. puts him in 3rd. Hornish Jr. is 4th. The brand new rookie. Mira sits now in 5th place. And tonight at 6:30 Eastern and Pacific, watch the defending champion Japan take on Kentucky in the World Championship game of the Little League World Series presented by Honda. ABC Sports Championship Television. The guy who's staying in this fight is Laurent Redon. He's around Barron again. Those guys go back and forth a little bit.
interesting to see some of the speeds, Paul, when we go across the line all the time. The front guys are in the 165, almost 166 mile an hour bracket. And they're all that way up until about 9th or 10th spot. And then we start to see a bit of a drop down to about 164, 62. Traffic's not yet a factor in anything that's happening up in front.
But again, those kind of speeds are tremendous on a tight little circuit like this. Hornish and Giafoni continue to fight. Jack Arute.
A little deeper in the pack, Paul. The Energizer Bunny is going to try and keep going and going and going. Jeff Ward, you know, Butch Davis loves to gamble on fuel strategy. He calls the shots for Wardy. They are going to try, Scott Goodyear, to make this race in just 2 stops. Remember, they've already pitted out of sequence. They say it's going to be very tight, but they think it may be their roadmap to a second win this season.
And Jack, maybe a smart move, because I did notice that once they made that change, they did have to pit underneath yellow. He's actually been on the fly, passing people all over the place. So if it turns out right for him, he'll be in great shape. Now, we saw Sam Hornish Jr. just there in the middle of the turn, a little wiggle out of Sam's car when you're looking back on Giafoni's car. Maybe Sam has got the same problem that he had last time, right around midstream throughout his fuel segment.
And he's approaching the halfway point on this stint. Maybe that problem has returned. Castroneves, DeFer, and Giafoni, the top 3. Welcome back to Gateway. Helio Castroneves, our leader, 2-time Indy 500 champion, and probably the most personable guy you're going to find in a racing circuit anywhere. In second is his teammate, Gil DeFer, and third, Felipe Giafoni. Vitor Meira sitting back behind Giafoni. He just got around Sam Hornish Jr. Sam's got some problems.
Paul, we identified that just a moment ago before break. Certainly, it looks like Sam's car is not working well for him. The good thing about it is, as we look at his engineer, Andy Brown, as Sam's rating and telling him what's going on with the car, they'll have a couple more stops possibly to actually fix the car so he can have a shot at it at the end.
You said it starting that this race could be pivotal in that battle for the championship. It won't be decisive. It's going to go to the last race of the season. They're going to race yet at Chicago and then finally at Texas. But this race is really going to set the stage for that.
It certainly did for Sam Hornish last year, because in that fight with Buddy Lazier, it certainly gave him the one-up leg going into Chicago. But right now, with Sam Hornish Jr. only a 4-point lead over Castroneves, and Castroneves leading, he certainly can add up those points in his head right now when he's sitting back there in the 5th spot.
Hornish Jr. kind of waiting station behind Meira. Meira closing on Felipe Giafoni. And in that points fight, well, right now, with Castroneves in front, he's leading Hornish by 16 points. So those points changing lap after lap, and positions changing with them.
As we saw earlier in the show, the point spread 50 for first, 40 for second, down to 35. If you can win this, you get a big lead in points.
There comes the leader across the line. Second place. There's third place. And finally fourth. That's the relationship over the top of the field. 3.5 seconds separate first place Castroneves from 5th place Sam Hornish Jr.
And Paul, the spotter information, the slower cars, you talk about 3.5 seconds, and that's not a whole lot with the spread of those cars right now. You come up in traffic, as we see right now, you can have that gone in just a split of 1 turn just by getting held up behind somebody in front of you.
Watching Sam Hornish as he comes back around Meira. And by the way, Scott Sharp fans, yep, they got the gear cluster back in, and he's running again.
They're coming up behind Buddy Lazier, who's been off a pace since the beginning of the race. Whoa, slicing that with Noda. Boy, he came down pretty quick.
Lazier has fallen 8 laps behind the race. Well, these guys are just seesawing back and forth up here.
We talked about traffic early on. If your car's working well, you get through traffic, you have a lot of confidence.
Several of the drivers told me that if your primary training comes out of road racing, that it gives you a slight advantage here because it's more like a road course in many ways. And so you're maybe a little better at setting up and certainly understand the nature of getting through the gears in turn 1 here.
And Paul, when you look back and you look at a road course, you come into a turn on a road course circuit and you slow down for it and you probably even downshift. That's exactly what they're doing here at Gateway. Not many tracks that we go to on the IRL circuit where a driver possibly has to get on the brakes or maybe go down a gear in the gearbox. We come from Michigan, for instance, where speeds are 220, 225 miles an hour. Drivers are flat on the gas. Here they're working the throttle, the gearbox, and playing with the balance of the car, much like a road car. So guys that certainly have had some road course background might find an advantage in a circuit like here in St. Louis.
Back there behind Mira, Raydon and Barron. There they are. Here comes Barron. Moves to the inside. He's got Raydon. Another relationship for you for a second across the line. Here comes Giafone and Hornish Jr.
Now as Castroneves and DeFerrin get down to the end of the straightaway, going into the turn, they'll peek in their mirror to see where all the competition is. And they certainly know that 1st to 7th right now is all covered at 1 length of a straightaway, which is not a whole lot around this racetrack.
2 different lines as they come off of 3 and 4. Castroneves is still the leader at Gateway. We'll be back.
Bob Jenkins welcoming you back to Gateway International Raceway, Madison, Illinois, for the 13th race of the IRL season. We have just gone to caution, and we have done so for the first incident of the race. Here's what happened over in turn number 2. Now that's Mira spinning over in turn 2, coming out of the corner. You'll see him go to the grass, and the front end of the car will be ripped off by Laurent Raydon, who then went down to the grass and stopped. On board with Vitor Mira, who had been running in the top 5 virtually all race long. There he loses it. And as he slides toward the grass, the nose is clipped off by Raydon. Now, Mira has gone to pit road. He got the car refired and has gone to pit road for repairs, but Raydon will not be able to refire from the backstretch. So the pit's now open and the stops are being made just before the incident. And by the way, we have just completed the halfway point. DeFerrin had taken the lead from Castroneves. Jack?
And the first car out is not Gilles DeFerrin, it's Helio Castroneves. Castroneves got passed just before the caution came out. And all Tim Cindric said to him is, don't worry, we'll get him back. So Gilles DeFerrin corrects a loose condition that he had on his race car. Gary Gerald, what about an update on the Pennzoil Panther car?
Well, for Sam Hornish, they got him in and out in terrific fashion. He had a jump on Felipe Giafone, but because Giafone is 3 pits behind, he had the momentum on the fast lane, and Giafone beat him for the 3rd spot out of the pits.
So they're going to come out in the same order, or a little bit different order, as Giafone and Hornish will now run 3rd and 4th as the 102nd lap is about to be completed. So we are past the halfway mark here this afternoon, and we are under caution for the first accident of the afternoon. So far, Gilles DeFerrin has led the most laps, 64. His Marlboro Team Penske teammate Helio Castroneves has led 33. Raul Boesel led 3 laps under the caution, and Felipe Giafone has been in the front for 2 circuits. 4 lead changes and 4 leaders and 7 lead changes in the first 102 laps of this event, with Tony Renna the only driver who is listed as being out of the race, although Billy Bode and Scott Sharp have been in for long pit stops, and Bode is 27 laps down and Sharp 24 laps down. Both of those repairs were for gearboxes. Sarah Fisher is shown back in the 21st position. She is 8 laps down. There are 10 cars on the lead lap here, just past the halfway point. So it has been, for the most part this afternoon, a battle between the Marlboro Team Penske teammates of DeFerrin and Castroneves, although Giafone and Hornish have never been too far behind. And certainly Vitor Mira had put on a great show in his first half of the race before he did lose control over there in turn number 2 and caused this most recent caution period. So we'll take a break and be back in just a moment. They're the top 6 with 103 of 200 laps completed at Gateway.
Hey, I made it to the Indy 500 winner's circle. Now it's your turn. Later, I'll give you a number to call, and you could win an all-access pass to next year's Indy 500. So, stay tuned.
Helio Castroneves is at the front of the field with De Ferran right behind him, Giafoni, Hornish, Barron, Buell, Unser Jr., Rice, and Boycel, the other cars that are on the lead lap, as we are now going to Jack Arute for an update from pit road.
Well, after that last pit stop, the Tim Cindric-led Marlboro Team Penske crew looked over the tires, reported back to their drivers, Helio Castroneves, who is leading this thing. And all Helio Castroneves said is, fellas, you know that one set of tires we've got? Let's save those for last. Paul?
And with a half lap to go, Paul, we're ready to go back to racing.
Oh, he's got a magic set there somewhere. Well, if they run without caution, they'll probably go to about the 151st lap and then stop again as they're ready to come back to green. Giafoni comes on the pit road.
Okay. Bring it. Can you make it in?
Green flag comes out. Well, you talk about an impact on his championship possibilities just as the green flag came out. Felipe Giafoni headed for the pit road. It's Castroneves, De Ferran, Hornish, top 3, but here comes Barron.
A nicely timed move by Alex Barron. A little bit of drafting going down the backstretch and just slices underneath Sam Hornish Jr.
One of the new winners this year in the Indy Racing League. Now sitting up in third place behind the powerhouse of Marlboro Team Penske. Can't tell you how happy his owner, Larry Brower, was when he won. And now he's on his way to giving another shot.
Oh, looks like Alan Barron has a very strong race car after the restart here. It's always a good sign for a driver. You feel very confident on the restart. Maybe they've been making changes during this first couple of pit stops to get the car to his liking.
Look back there in 5th place. Robbie Buell continues to be in this fight too. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
Just out of the medical center, Laurent Redon. You're obviously okay. What happened on the track? Is this a case of just no place to go? It happened so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I was just behind Vito and his spoon trying to... I was low and I think Mac was just up to me and I didn't have any place because I couldn't go up because Mac was just up of me. And Vito touched my rear and he pulled me to the wall, so nothing to do. And it's a shame because we had a good car, so it's a shame.
I'm glad you're all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the MyJack Conquest driver with his 6th DNF of the year, but he still has a shot, though it's becoming a little more remote, at the Rookie Championship because Thomas Scheckter is not here. Called his owner, Eddie Cheever, said, I'm not coming this weekend, even though he was here for the promotional stuff ahead of the race. Jack Arute, what's going on with Giafoni?
Felipe Giafoni's drive here at Gateway International is over. Felipe, engine problems. The Chevrolet gave up.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't hear certain different engine from like 40 laps ago. But unfortunately, it didn't make this time.
Paul, disappointment for the Hollywood crew.
Barron is on the move. What a great move for Barron as he slotted in to 2nd place behind Helio Castroneves.
And Paul, they're pumping their fists down here in Larry Blair Racing Team land. They love that move.
Oh yeah, I can see why. That car is handling perfectly. Back on Giafoni for a second. That's only the 2nd time he's been out of competition this year. And it crashed to Phoenix back in March. So great consistent string for him. There's Robbie Buell. We mentioned him earlier. 5th place right now. Infinity Power.
One of his strongest runs so far this year. He had just a great season going on until he had that accident in qualifying in Fontana. A strong qualifying run at Indianapolis, but has not really had that much luck, wouldn't you say, since then?
Not really, not at all, and it's surprising because he is so good and the team's good. Look at this. Front two, then third and fourth battle. But it's Alex Barron who's the spotlight at the moment as he tries to take over the timing, Alex, you're pulling away from the gun. Take over the front of the field. Closes on Castro Neves.
Paul, one of the reasons why Barron is able to close on Castro Neves is because the Marlboro Team Penske Mount has developed a severe understeer. Scott, that is not what you want here at Gateway.
Jack, that is exactly right. Understeer on a race car means that the car will not turn into the turn the way the driver wants it. The front of the car actually underreacts to the amount of steering the driver puts into it. So he has to get off the gas, the slower speed happens in the middle of the turn, and then he's got to try to accelerate down the straightaway. And usually when that happens, drivers can make adjustments inside the car to maybe help that. But if he's run out of adjustments, then the car is just going to get slower and slower as the tires continue to wear down.
Yeah, but given a choice, I would think I would prefer understeer or push to loose on a place like that.
Absolutely right. Because every time a driver gets in that situation, you can modulate the throttle and maybe actually keep the car going and keep some momentum going. When the car is loose, that generally happens in a much quicker reflection than it does going understeer.
A quick primer on how to tell the difference between push and loose. It's quite simple. If the car pushes, that means the nose is going to crash first. If it's loose, it means the rear end is going to crash first.
And Jack, I've had both, and I can tell you, both of them actually hurt, so I'd rather have none, thanks.
Well, now with traffic being the issue, here comes Alex Barron as he tries Castro Neves. They come around Noda. Barron's running a slightly higher line and then drops back in.
You saw Barron get so much acceleration right there in the middle of the turn. Jack talked about the understeer with Castro Neves. That's where the understeer happens in the middle of the turn. Right now, Alex Barron's got a much faster race car than Castro Neves.
He pops out again, takes a look. Looks like he can place that car about anywhere he wants. There's Tom Gloy. He's got a pretty good racing record of his own now managing this team.
He does. Oh, some great passing move there. So much confidence, Paul, to be able to go around the outside turns 3 and 4 on what track that is usually just a lane and a half wide.
And Alex Barron crosses the line in the lead. Barron takes the lead over Castro Neves. And look at the separation already.
Much faster car right now. That car being engineered by John Dick, who's been in this game for a long time, understands oval. Had a great win with Arie Luyendyk back in 1990 at the Indianapolis 500.
So with Alex Barron out in front, three-way battle here, really for second. Based on the first two stints, though, it's now about 20 laps since Hornish has refueled. And the last two stints, he got to about this point, and then the handling went off.
It did, Paul. Just as we were riding along with him a moment ago, the hands are busy at work, coming off the steering wheel, going to the adjustments again. He's probably searching, looking to get that car suited back to his liking.
And now in that battle for the championship, too, with Giafone out of it, these three cars are the battle right now. Not going to be decided here. Might be predicted here. Going to go to Chicago, going to go on to Texas before that championship fight is determined. We'll be back with more from Gateway.
ESPN's presentation of the Gateway Indy 250 brought to you by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. And Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
Back with the Indy Racing League on the Mississippi at Gateway. Alex Barron from Southern California, who started back in 14. Laid down some mighty fast laps today. Look at that list. He holds the top 6. And forged his way to the front. And is now pulling away from Helio Castroneves. Castroneves second. DeFerrin third. Hornish Jr. fourth, then Buell and Unser Jr., the defending champion. And interestingly enough, the only former winner in this field, Unser Jr., who had his problems this morning. Anthony Lazzaro got sideways during the morning warm-up. And Al tried to go right, then tried to go left. That indecision got him good. He ended up smacking into Lazaro's car. Lazaro out of competition. Unser Jr., they were able to repair it. Don't forget, you're going to get the update on Thomas Scheckter and everything else going on in motorsports RPM tonight. The nightly news source for motorsports on television since 1996. See the latest edition with host David Lloyd. For a recap of all of the latest headlines, it's RPM tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific on ESPN2. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. The Bradley car for Raul Boesel. Done a pretty good job today. Running currently 8th, last of those on the lead lap.
Paul, he started in 13th spot. I think it was probably the 3rd fastest car in testing the 2 weeks leading up to the Gateway race here. The only 2 that were faster than him were both the Penske cars. So what a great job they've done with that team. Buzz Calkins used to drive, now is the owner. As Raul goes out, slices underneath Noda.
I gotta admit, it was a bit of a surprise for me to see Raul Boesel suddenly assigned to this car. I was pretty well convinced that Buzz had decided the season's done for us. And when Shigeaki Hattori and the Epson money ended, which was as planned, they only wanted to run the first events of the season. But then he suddenly decided, let's put Raul in the car, and Raul's been given the car a pretty good ride. He finished 5th at Nashville in only his 2nd start with this team.
Well, Buzz is a racer, once a racer, always a racer, and him and his dad run a very good team. They've got Infinity Power now. They've been continuously building this team up, and Raul's done a great job, a veteran driver.
But Scott, when Raul Boesel got the call to replace P.J. Jones, to replace Jacques Lazier at the Indianapolis 500, he already had a stock car ride, not in NASCAR, but in Brazil. And as a result of getting the ride first with Menard and now with Bradley, he's had to close up his stock car operation.
And then there's Buddy Rice, the 2nd. Only 2 Red Bull cars here from Red Bull Team Cheever, Thomas Scheckter. Thomas, if you're watching at home, we'd love to see you here. But nevertheless, look at this. The Penske team. They try at one another. Buddy Rice currently 7th.
Paul, you say they're trying at each other now. They're teammates, but I can tell you they're operating as 2 separate teams right now. They know that if they can get one position further ahead than the next, they're getting extra points towards the championship. And this will only intensify when we get to Chicago, and especially at Texas. There will be no team owners, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less of a total team. Not a bad thing. But each of those teams within Marlboro Team Penske are looking for a championship now.
Paul, consider this fact. The window is now open for the final pit stop amongst all of the cars that are still out there. Remember, last year, Al Unser Jr. did 67 laps on a tank of fuel. Right now, this race, in my opinion, will be won or lost during the final pit stop, be it during green or during a yellow.
I'm guessing they can carry it another 14 as you look at Scott, Delphi car. And the 2 Penske cars come by. Here comes Hornish.
Scott does the right thing, Paul. Absolutely. You mentioned you saw his hand go in the air. He knows that he's out of contention, not only for the race, but he knows those guys are all running for the championship. He gets high, lets those guys go through, and not kill him either speed.
Scott Sharp in the pits, 25 laps for repair to his gearbox. They put a new cluster in, put him back out. Very short order. Alex Barrett, he's out in front. The Indy Racing League at Gateway, just across the mighty Mississippi from St. Louis. And there are your point standings coming into this event. Sam Hornish Jr. was leading it. Well, right now, if you calculated him, it'd be Castroneves out in front. And our race leader, Alex Barrett, is 116 coming in right now. Because he's the leader, less than that back, about 102 points from the championship lead. So he's still mathematically in this game. And if he can stay in front, it's going to mean a lot to him.
And Paul, typical drivers, they never give up until the very last lap of the last race of the season, as we see with Giafone right now. The championship can still be wide open. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We still got a lot of racing to happen here yet today, and also at Chicago, and also at Texas.
2 more races coming. Chicagoland Speedway on September 8th, and then remember the nighttime run at Texas Motor Speedway. We're going back 15th of September and determine the championships and coverage of both on ABC Sports.
Both upcoming tracks, high bank tracks. 15 degrees at Chicago, 24 degrees at the Texas Motor Speedway. What a great show they put on there, Paul. Just like you mentioned, great racing. Always loved it.
That's where the IRL shines. You get them on those high banks. Oh! Yellow has come out, and Greg Ray up against, but maybe not touching. Heard the spotters call. We have a report now that he actually glanced the wall.
If you look at the front wheels there, Paul, you can see that's probably just a little bit askew from the way that it should be.
Yeah, they lean the right front over pretty good, but I don't think they lean it. So where only half the tire is working.
Yeah, a little toe. It looks like maybe the rear. You see the thing's just dog-legging itself right now towards us, not running very straight at all.
Well, see the upper A-arm control
right there.
Yeah, I think
that is supposed to be straight, not that little peak that you see. It looks like the top of actually your roof line at home, doesn't it?
I'm thinking it's a problem. I really do. So that's going to end Greg Ray's day. 44 laps for all of the leaders since they've pitted last. They are in the window that can bring them into the pits, and they can make it to the finish of the race. So it's Alex Barron that controls the race right now. Pits are still closed. They're lined up behind the Chevrolet Corvette pace car.
But, Paul, this is where your position based upon points on pit road could play a pivotal point in the outcome of this final pit stop. Remember, the car's directly behind Alex Barron. The 2 Marlboro Team Penske cars pit further down towards turn number 1. In fact, the only car in front of them is the car of Sam Hornish, the current IRL point leader. Meanwhile, your leader finds himself having to pit just about 3/4 of the way down. Alex Barron is going to have to be slow coming in. It will be a tad slower coming out. The pits are open. It's time, Gary.
Yeah, they've indicated Alex Barron. They were just checking with him, Tom Gloy, to see if they wanted any changes whatsoever. We've been told no changes. They love the car the way it's working. Will it continue to work that way with this fresh set of Firestones for the final stretch here with now 54 laps to go?
No changes, guys. Nice and easy here.
And guys, here's the pressure on all the engineers right now with the cars that are not running up front. They have to calculate the right changes they make to the car and the right tire pressure changes, so the engineers have their work cut out for them now, this being the last stop.
Barron coming down, ready to make his turn in. There it is.
Well, we look from the back of the car as they go through the routine service that they hope will be the final time to try to get this man his second IRL victory this season. Everything routine. That's a beautiful stop. He's gone. Let's watch the leaders now at the other end.
And Helio Castroneves is already completed. And Sam Hornish, a very long stop for Hornish as well. He will drop way back.
Guys, the same thing that's happened a few times today with the Pennzoil team. Actually, I say today, but this year, actually. Sam is anxious to go. He gets dropped off the jacks. He actually wants to start creeping the car forward, and it cocks the buckline for the fuel filler. And that's exactly what happened again, and then he tries to take off and stalls it.
At the pit exit, Castroneves beat Barron out. Then out came DeFerrin, then Rice, then Buell. Those are the measurements at the timeline at the exit to the pits.
And Paul, let's update you. No changes on Helio Castroneves' car. They like what they like what they've got, but those good Firestone Firehawks they were saving, they're now on the car.
Stand back and look out.
As Helio said earlier in the show, hey, if my car's working well, which it is, I'm going for it.
So the Indy Racing League will make an absolute check to make sure that the track is clean, clear, ready to go. Here are the stops. As Barron rolled first, then Castroneves got it engaged.
Here's Barron coming out right there, right behind Castroneves. And you can see Pennzoil car still sitting in pit lane, burning off valuable time.
he has full loads of fuel. 148 laps are now complete. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, I think maybe the problem is one that has occurred before with the Pennzoil Panther team, and that lies in the clutch. Sam Hornish has just radioed in and told the guys he's got to keep pumping the clutch, Scott. He said, I got to keep pumping the clutch. Is that a result of stalling the car, or could that have contributed to it?
No, probably a contribution factor, I think, Jack, with that, because what ends up happening is when the car gets dropped off the jacks, the driver gets moved inside the car, and if the clutch is actually not working properly, what ends up happening is it can just jerk the car forward and just enough to stall. These clutches only move about 2 inches off the floor compared to your road car, which might move about 6 or 8 inches.
Gary Gerould.
Quick word with Tom Glow. You told us earlier you had a great race car. What change did you make this morning that made you so fast to come from 14th?
Actually, we had a great car all weekend, Gary. Alex, we didn't quite do it in qualifying, and we were all a bit disappointed, but all during practice, the car has been great. Alex knew he had a good race car, and he's a good race car driver, so we're going to take that Rayovac car back to the front.
Now, you got a Penske car in front of you. What are you telling your driver here for this sprint out of the checker?
I'll tell you what, he relishes the task ahead. He's done it once in this race. He wants to do it again.
All right, we'll watch anxiously and see if he can get the job done.
Red Bull Team Cheever gave Buddy Rice a great stop. He went from 7th to 4th on that last pit stop. Hornish is now back in 7th place and losing more points. But the clutch as a factor in the stop should not be a factor now in the final stretch.
Absolutely, Paul. It should not be a factor whatsoever. Once the car's left pit lane, it's out on the racetrack, the car's already engaged in gear, should not be a problem.
There's the restart order. As the front runners come back to the green flag. Hornish tries to find room, but Barron goes to the front. Whoa, 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 he's way high.
Cold tires, probably. First couple of laps on cold tires, drove it in just a little too hard.
And Buell tries to make a move on Barron as he tries to get his momentum back and maybe wipe a little perspiration off his brow on that one. That was close.
Sam Hornish is going to maybe take advantage of that and maybe get some momentum. He's looking at it. But now Alex Barron certainly has to turn around and settle himself down.
Back at Gateway, Helio Castroneves is the leader. On the restart, Alex Barron tried Castroneves, but then fresh tires got him. He went way high. Fortunately, didn't get the wall. So it's Castroneves to Farron and Buddy Rice with a great stop that moved him from 7th to 4th. And now pass on the track, he moves to 3rd.
Well, we might see another new winner again this year, Paul. Certainly has a great power plant behind him with the Infinity engine. A lot of experience in different formulas of cars. He's young, he's talented, and he's been very fast since the end of the series.
DeFerrin with rookie Buddy Rice. $165, 167 and a half have been some of the top speed. Not the big over 200 numbers you normally see in the IRL, but very big numbers on this track.
Absolutely, a mile and a quarter track, and as we talked about before, usually tracks over a mile have a higher banking, 14 to 24 degrees. But in this particular track, with only 11-degree banking in turns 1 and 2, and 9-degree banking in turn 3 and 4, a much flatter track, much similar to tracks that we see either like Richmond, a 3/4-mile track, or Phoenix, which is a mile track. So these drivers have a lot of work put out for themselves right now to get around these turns and carry the speed.
Scott, let me put it in perspective for you. When NASCAR runs here at Gateway, they are 40 to 45 miles an hour slower than these Indy cars.
Castroneves to Farron Rice, the front three. Take you back to the last restart. Now watch Barron. He's on the left of your screen. Rayovac car. He gets the pass done, but then's carrying way too much speed. Very lucky he didn't grab the wall. Unlucky that a lot of guys got around him. And he dropped back. Now sitting in 5th place. And Buell just ahead of him.
Now Ericsson definitely had the fastest car in the last segment, but maybe that'll slow him down just a little bit, Paul, because it certainly doesn't seem like he's actually being able to carry the speed in the turns like he did previously.
Well, it's going to hit him psychologically. There's no question about that. But did it also hit the tires?
Well, possibly so, and that's a great point, because once you get high, the rubber marbles are up on the top of the gray section, as we like to call it, because anytime you're off that black section of the racetrack, which is the groove where the cars want to run, that's where all the rubber is going down. The rubber that wears off the tires ends up on the top of the racetrack, which is right up here, which is exactly where he was running. And that might have gone on his new set of tires. It's going to take a few laps to bring that off.
So Castroneves, with 160 laps now being completed, is the leader.
Okay, the big moment has arrived. Call this number and you could win an all-access pass to the next year Indy 500. Maybe we can climb the fence together.
Well, he just may be climbing the fence today, but a lot of it depends on what this guy, Alex Barron, has to say. He's been on the charge, finally getting the car back under him, got around Buell and Hornish, and now sits in 4th place, ready to take a shot at the leaders for only about 2.5 seconds ahead of him. There's the interval. 2 Penske cars and Rice, and here is Barron.
Got a long ways to make up right now, Paul. And getting caught up to the driver in front of you is one thing, getting past is another. So certainly going to have to see here in the next 34 laps or so whether or not he can get that done.
Barron's been pretty good at traffic situations as they close on slower cars. He's really paced himself pretty well.
Nice job getting underneath George Mack right there, but actually Hornish has been speeding up here a little bit right now. He certainly has been catching up over the last few laps.
Out of the race, Sarah Fisher, Gary Gerold.
And she's been biting her fingernails watching her teammate Robbie Buell. It's nerve-wracking. You're really into this for Robbie, aren't you, Sarah?
Well, when you have a teammate, it's like having a brother. And I tell you what, Team Purex Aventus, they're doing an awesome job today. It's the best they've run all year, and we hope they can pull it off.
What kind of problems did you have?
I had all kinds of problems. We had gearbox problems, alternator problems, radio problems, name it, we had it. So, tough luck for Team Smart Blade today.
Look forward to Chicago. It'll be better. Thanks.
Thank you.
Disappoints her, but doesn't seem to phase her. Helio Castroneves just took the 2 points for leading the most laps. So, a couple more points into the game. There's Buell, currently 6th. And the leader, Helio Castroneves. We'll be back with more of the IRL. Don't forget, tonight on ESPN, 2 teams meet in a possible postseason preview. Gary Sheffield and the Atlanta Braves are in Los Angeles to take on Shawn Green and Sheffield's former team, the LA Dodgers. Watching Rice and Barron go at one another. Don't forget, Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel at 8 Eastern. Coverage begins with Baseball Tonight, presented by Pep Boys at 7 Eastern. So you saw Barron make his move on Buddy Rice. That puts him into 2nd. Now he chases down, or into 3rd. He has to chase down 2nd place, Gil DeFerrin. And in fact, chase down and pass the juggernaut that is Marlboro Team Penske, currently running 1-2, Castroneves and DeFerrin.
We saw Hornish take a big spurt up there. It looks like he was going to take a run at Barron, but maybe his car's not staying underneath him right now because Barron's car might be coming around to him, Paul. When I say that, maybe everything's coming into play. The tire pressures are good. Tire temps are good. The car's getting into the zone. The driver's getting into the zone. He knows that he's got 25 more laps to get it done.
And remember, Vitor Meira, who had that spin, really had it all gathered up coming off it, too. And then Laurent Redon got the nose of his car. They repaired it quickly. He is only 1 lap behind the race and currently runs in 10th place.
Oh, Paul, but he's still loose. Did you see how quick his hands moved there in the middle of 3 and 4? The back end's trying to step out from underneath him, and watch his hands right here. As he's got Eddie Cheever Jr. slices underneath him right now. Vitor Mir has got a car that's being a little bit ugly for him.
Eddie, how you doing as he comes by? Robbie McGee, who's got more than a lot of experience on the road course at this track at Gateway. SCCA Racing got a couple of finishes on the podium, first place finishes in the Atlantics Club Racing here.
You can hear his spotter telling Robin McGee the leaders are coming up behind you. Keep your speed up, but try not to hold up the leaders.
Casper Neves tucks in, goes way to the inside.
One high, one low, clear low.
Got him. Eliseo Salazar, currently 14th. Had a good run at Phoenix, though.
Paul, you remember he had that big testing crash at Indianapolis earlier in the year, just before the Indianapolis Speedway opened up for the month of May. A horrific crash, and has done a great job in getting himself back and being fit to get in the race car.
Yeah, so big, in fact, I'm surprised that he came back this season at all. So Casper Neves now into the final 20 laps of the run here, hoping to grab a handful of championship points to carry him to the end of the season. We'll be back. Back with the Indy Racing League at Gateway, and the two Penske cars go side by side. DeFerrin takes the lead away from Casper Neves.
What a bold move, Paul, by two championship leaders. Wheel to wheel, going three abreast there. One wrong move, and both those guys would have been out.
Yeah, but let's not count out. Back there in third and closing, there he is, Alex Barron.
Certainly seems like the car's coming around to him, has certainly been catching up to both these guys. And I can tell you, these guys are looking in the mirror. They certainly can see him coming.
And there is Hornish as he tries to move on Buddy Rice. So Hornish trying to come forward as well. Coming down to the final laps of this race.
Rice is going to have a look at him again. What a seesaw battle these two guys got going. Whoa. So close. It looks like one guy works well in turns 1 and 2, being Sam Hornish, and Rice is working better in 3 and 4.
1 and 2 being the tighter turns. They snap a gear to get into 1 here. Come down right through 2, 3, and 4. 1 gear down, then go back up for the front stretch. Picks up a little draft out of Ayrton Darhe, but not enough. Back at the front, they're the top 3 all right together. DeFerrin, Casper Neves, Barron separated by Buddy Lazier. And now Barron disposes of Lazier, and the top 3 are all right together.
And Paul, I just checked in with Tom Gloyer, calls the shots for Alex Barron, and asked him, do you have the same sort of feeling you did before the miscue on Alex on the restart? He shrugged his shoulders, and then he held up 2 hands with crossed fingers.
Yeah, but look at all the traffic in front of the leader. Backstretch is full right now.
Well, Paul, that's what Roger Penske is telling Gilles DeFerrin. Keep an eye on traffic.
Scott Sharp knows that he's well behind the race, gives them all racing room. Barron goes high off the corner. Tucks in behind Sharp. Looks for Casper Neves. DeFerrin, plenty of traffic in front of him. Once again, the top 3 are all together. Eddie Cheever with DeFerrin behind him. DeFerrin tries Cheever high. Oh, he might get bottled up here.
Paul going high in the middle of the turn, going around the car in front of you in the middle of 3 and 4, shows you for sure that DeFerrin's car is working very well for him, has the confidence to make the change of lanes mid-turn.
Cheever lets Casper Neves have room on the inside. Barron is right there on Casper Neves. This will be his shot at it. Nope, can't do it. DeFerrin, Castroneves, Barron, 1, 2, 3. Now in the final 10 here.
All those guys moving their way around. Eliseo Salazar. Now Barron's got to do the same thing. He can look on his pit board. He knows he's actually within 10 laps to the end. He knows he's got to make some great strides here right now to get a chance to get a shot at getting past those guys.
Now Barron closes up on George Mack and gets around him. Mack, a fellow Southern California go-karter. Barron knows him well. Rice clears George Mack as well. DeFerrin, Castroneves, Barron.
Time in the race, Paul, where there's actually no room for any mistakes whatsoever. Drivers have to make the right judgment calls, not only in traffic, a lot of pressure on these guys. No more stops are left.
And they're not entirely done with traffic just yet.
Oh, lots of traffic yet, and they know if they make the wrong move, it can kill their momentum, and maybe they'll lose a spot or two. Conversely, if they make the right decision, maybe they'll gain a spot or two.
Penske cars are both flying. They both turned in their fastest laps thus far. Both at better than 167 miles an hour. Barron last time around was 165, 166, but he's been as high as 168.
We saw a lot of concern, it looked like, on the face of Roger Penske.
Now, the Barron's got to be careful here, and will the rest of them. They don't know Vitor Meira that well.
He's been fast, but they know he's a rookie, and when you come up behind a car, you can actually tell that the guy is actually a rookie because he's got those rookie stripes in the back attenuator, in the back of the transmission. 3 orange stripes to let you know that you're coming up behind somebody that has not completed a full season of racing.
Going around across the line, that'll put him to 4 to go. There is a report that Meira does not have a working radio, so they can't spot him as well and tell him that the leaders are there. Still, he's a heads-up guy. He certainly can use the mirror.
Paul, remember that he lost the nose of his car in that incident with Laurent Redon, so possibly they did not put a radio back right where the radio sits in the nose of the car. They probably did not get one in to replace the one that actually left in the nose of the crash.
Boy, there is Hornish well back. 5th place. Not the day he had hoped for. They stay like they are. Will come out of this race with Castroneves leading the points. But Barron just 1 back and Hornish 8 back.
You're clear.
Leader crosses the line. Gil DeFerrin with 2 to go. DeFerrin crossed the line with 1.8 seconds on second place Castroneves. It doesn't seem like Barron's going to be able to pedal fast enough now. 1 to go.
Certainly Alex Barron is thinking about that restart. All the spots that he lost and maybe gave a victory away.
Barron into turn 3, looking for his 2nd career win in the Indy Racing League.
You are the man. You are the man. Great job, Gil. Great job.
And Gil DeFerrin is the winner at Gateway, followed by Castroneves and Barron. Then came Buddy Rice and Hornish Jr. Robbie Buell gave his car a great run. Here he comes. And Buell crosses the line in 6th. So the run complete. The championship goes on. There's no question it's going to go to the last race of the season. And DeFerrin, Castroneves, Hornish Jr. all still very much alive in that fight. Gil DeFerrin, Marlboro Team Penske, 1-2 finish at Gateway. We'll be back to talk with them.
And here are the point standings, and you thought it was close coming into this race. It is even closer now among the top three. Just 8 points separate Castroneves, DeFerrin, and Hornish with 2 races to go. Giafoni took a major hit today, finishing 21st. Alex Barron, with a great ride, is in the 5th position, 119 points behind Helio Castroneves, who returns to the points lead after being out of that position for a few races. But Gilles DeFerrin is the man of the day. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, they're trying to get Gilles DeFerrin to victory lane, not since Pikes Peak International Raceway, as he's found his way there, but getting the accolades and the congratulation of the crew. And Bob, I think they're going to back him into victory lane now. Let's throw it back up to you.
Well, Jack, it's the third 1-2 Penske finish for Team Penske this year, Gary.
Well, Roger Penske is standing here and enjoying this moment. I know it was frustrating with your driver, Rusty Wallace, last night at Bristol. You ended up second. Tonight, you're 1 and 2. In this championship battle, how do you figure going to these last 2 events, Roger?
Well, it's going to be tight. As you know, they've got some real speed, some of these other cars on the big tracks. But, you know, Rusty did a great job last night, so I'm just trying to hold up my end today. But, again, we got a great team, great stops. I think the strategy was good at the end, trying to save fuel so we didn't have too much weight at the end. But it's been a great series, and we're glad to be here. But, you know, when you finish 1-2, you got to take it off to all the team and the people that made it happen.
When Alex Barron had the lead, did you think you were going to be able to get back into the top spots?
Well, we had our fuel turned down. There was no reason to run because we had a fuel window, and he ran very well. In fact, he's done well all season. I take my hat off to him. But, again, it was time to go at the end, and we were there.
Indeed you were. Bob?
It's a Team Penske day at Gateway International Raceway. DeFerrin and Castroneves 1 and 2. The top 5, Barron 3rd, Rice 4th, and Hornish wound up 5th. Back at Gateway, there are the point standings with 2 to go. Gilles DeFerrin goes from vacation in southern France last week to victory lane here at Gateway this week. Here's Jack.
Hey, Gilles, I guess that vacation in the south of France did you some good. Congratulations.
I'm so happy. You have no idea, Gary. Jack, sorry, you're Jack, you know, Gary. And it was a very, very, very hard race, and the pace was unbelievable. I mean, Elliot was really pushing hard, and Alex was very strong as well. And it was just a matter of surviving. But the advantage I had is late in the stint, I seemed to pick up a little bit of pace in relation to everybody else. So my car continuously got better, whereas everybody else's car seems to kind of go off a little bit. And that's what gave us the edge there in traffic for me to pass out at the end of the race.
Early in the race, the conversation between you and Roger Penske, the captain, about the condition of the race car got a little animated. But having, as you and I have talked about before, Roger as your tactician really gives you the X factor and the advantage over some of the competition.
Yeah, man, we were getting a little loose there. I had a couple of tank slippers coming up for, and I'm like, yeah, that's not looking good. But you know, managed to keep it on the island, and they made a good call. You know, certainly having Roger in the pits really bring the temperature down a little bit, and you know, the guys get a good change. But you know, throughout the middle stints, we were fighting a little bit the car. Then on the last stint, the car was really good. Like I said, it just seemed to be improving as the stint went on.
Well, congratulations and continue the celebration.
Thank you.
Gary Gerould, I think you're with the guy that really had us all up on the edge of our seats.
Yeah, Jack, we're standing here with Alex Barron. His car owner, Larry Blair, is alongside, and they're enjoying the moment. But I know you're probably kicking yourself a little bit on that restart when you had a shot at the lead, but it didn't quite happen. You got very high and very close to the wall.
Yeah, Helio and I went into turn 1 pretty hot, and with cold tires and then the shavings and a lot of debris up high because later in the race. And front end took off. I couldn't backpedal quick enough to get back down in front of him, and we lost a lot of momentum. So we finished the race strong, and you know, we're real happy with that, with a podium finish. And the most important thing is get to the end of the year with a good championship.
It was a spectacular run from 14th. Great job, Alex.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guys.
Alex Barron finishes in 3rd position here this afternoon. Buddy Rice came home 4th for Red Bull Team Cheever. Of course, that team made headlines all weekend with Thomas Scheckter choosing not to participate in this event. Sam Hornish Jr., the reigning IRL champion, finished in 5th position. Once again, there are the point standings as we now head to Chicagoland Speedway in a couple of weeks for the next to the last event, and the finale coming up in 3 weeks at Texas. Just 119 separating Alex Barron from the points lead, but basically it still remains a 4-driver battle for the championship. So Gil de Ferran wins here at Gateway International Raceway today. Will join us September the 8th for Indy Racing Today at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN2, and the Delphi Indy 300 at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on ABC Sports. Coming up next, the Pacific Classic and Ballerina Handicap from Del Mar. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.